Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Echuca, Australia. We currently conduct these streams on Monday evenings, with other times to be added as more opportunities arise. Please visit our website MELfeed.video for further information. This web video project presents old and new community TV programs. Please enjoy your stay with MELfeed.video.
Hello and welcome to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. Today our guest is Patrick Sibley, who is a secondary and tertiary teacher. He's also studied agriculture, he's done a degree in science, and he's also done his Masters in bioethics. Welcome to the program, Patrick.
Thanks, Mirella.
Thank you for coming to the program.
Thanks, Mirella. Now
today you wanted to talk a little bit about something you said last week that you didn't finish saying about the role of fathers in families. You wanted to talk about that in the last episode.
I wanted to talk about the importance of educating adolescents and young men to be responsible fathers, to take responsibility for their actions, to ask the questions before they act, particularly when they're acting sexually. Are they ready to raise a family? Are they ready to take responsibility, provide, care, care for and nurture not just their partner or their wife or spouse, but their children? Tenderness, gentleness, compassion, service, giving themselves as a gift. And I think this is what children need to develop healthily, in a healthy way. It's a way of building respectful relationships within the family, which is the building block of society. These are the traditional values, and the place that tradition has held is a place for the first education of children. With the mother and father. Of course, there's many people that have not had that privilege, and I understand that is a very difficult place to come from, particularly I've seen it in the children that I've worked with, and they need to be given all the support that they can. And I just wanted to say that I'm trying to think, is it a Dr. Seuss book where they bring in the cat to get rid of the mouse, and then they bring in a dog to get rid of the cat? And I think if we've got a few things wrong in the foundations of our current social structure, bringing in another solution to fix the mess that's just as bad as or worse than what the solution that was brought in before is not going to fix anything. We need to, I think, get back to basics and what does make for the safe and respectful development of children.
Okay, and what are those basics, you think?
I believe the basics are stable, committed, lifelong love relationships between a man and a woman. Now that's not to say that two women can't love each other or two men can't love each other, but what it is saying is that children, just ask the adoptees, even the ones that have been adopted by gay couples will say, yeah, they were fantastic, but they weren't a mother and a father. The IVF generation, I want to know who my father was. How dare you have manufactured me without me knowing my father? There is something deep in the human spirit that likes to know its origins. That's just asking those who have spoken of their own experience.
Okay, and also today you want to discuss also the marriage debate. What did you want to talk about that?
I want to talk about that. I believe, and I have good reason to believe, that the marriage debate hasn't really happened, and the way that the media has presented it has been, in a way, by the withholding of facts and information being a sort of a false debate. A misrepresentation of what's at stake, a misrepresentation of the real issues of concern, a misrepresentation of what marriage is under the state law, and also a misrepresentation of what will follow after if marriage law is changed.
Okay. And what is the marriage law that you were talking about?
Well, as far as I understand, in law, marriage has 3 elements. So the first one was that it was permanent. The second one, that it would be complementary between a man and a woman. And a third main element was that it's monogamous between just 2 people in a marriage. The first one was done away with in 1975 when introduced into Australian law was no-fault divorce, and which means up until that time it was difficult to get a divorce. You had to have a very good reason. No-fault divorce led to a 500% increase in divorce. So we had a 10% divorce rate, now I've got a 50% divorce rate.
We got the divorce rate higher because of the no-fault divorce.
Yeah. As far as I understand, prior to 1975, it was far more difficult to get a divorce. Introduction of no-fault divorce, and now it's very simple to get a divorce. I don't love them anymore. I've changed my mind. And it's an indication of why we had those, why that was in law. That permanency wasn't necessarily about people's feelings. It was also about the other people involved, namely the children. In state law, it's understood that the parents get together in their contract, when they go to sign the papers, the civil ceremony, for example, the signing of the papers is to say, we're going to raise children as civil citizens. We're going to take responsibility for this union and also any children that are produced in this union, that we have a responsibility to the rest of the society. Marriage was never a private event. It wasn't to do with feelings. Marriage was the state saying, you guys have a responsibility. We're going to hold you accountable for your commitment in the public sphere. How you raise and educate your children is important to this country.
Jeez, it was a lot stricter in the old days. Yeah.
Yeah, based really finding its foundation in Judeo-Christian tradition, which our laws and our customs generally derive from. The Greek philosophical sort of reason tradition. We've got our Westminster system of government and our Harvard system of law, and all based on Greek philosophical tradition and Judeo-Christian sort of morality. In the Christian understanding of marriage, you would have the elements would be that it was free, total, and faithful, but just on a simple, basic social legal framework, that it would be monogamous between just one couple, 2 people as a couple, and the other one complementary between a man and a woman.
Okay. All right, we've just got to go to a break now. You're watching NAT Chat. Stay with us. We'll be back with more very shortly.
Which one are you going to get? Just a lady. Boy. Oh, you can't. Just a minute. Okay. All right.
Just needs a bit of discipline. Can I help you with your bags?
Thank you.
Autism. Change your reactions, change your actions.
This season, we need your help to control Queensland fruit fly in our region. Your infested fruit is destroying your neighbour's harvest and the livelihood of our orchardists and their families. Pick up and dispose of fallen fruit. Infected fruit in your backyard is a breeding ground for fruit fly. Monitor fruit fly numbers by hanging traps in your fruit trees. Traps can be purchased at your local hardware stores. Net your fruit trees and susceptible vegetables with fruit fly specific netting. Contact us for information.
The tax office can take money directly out of people's accounts, but you're not allowed to know. The elderly are being abused and neglected in nursing homes, but you're not allowed to know. The government can raid journalists for reporting the truth if it says you're not allowed to know. it couldn't happen in Australia? It's happening now. When the government hides the truth from you, what are they covering up? Authorised by Australia's Right to Know, Sydney.
Northern Access Television will turn 30 in 2020. We are planning a celebration night with a book and a special TV show about our history. If you're a past member or a volunteer of NAT, we would love to hear from you. For more details, visit the website nat30years.info and find out how you can help celebrate 30 years of media for the community. The 30th anniversary of Northern Access Television. Let's celebrate in 2020.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Patrick Sibley, who is a secondary and tertiary educator teacher, and he's also studied applied science in agriculture, and he's done his masters in bioethics. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks very much, Mirella.
Now, we were talking about marriage. You were talking about different types of different things that we used to have, like before. Would you like to tell us what you were going to talk about permanency, and then you said there was something else, some issues on marriage?
Complementarity.
Complementarity.
So that's a fancy word to say that in our law at the moment we have say that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Yeah, that was the permanency, first one.
The permanency was that it'd be full-time. That's full-time. For the rest of your life.
Permanent, yeah.
And the last one is to do with monogamy, being one man and one woman, just two people, no more in the marriage. Yeah. Not polygamy, monogamy.
No, yeah.
Mono meaning one.
And that's still the law now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one down, 1975, the permanency gone. So there's two left. The people talking in the public sphere now about changing it, the marriage law to include same-sex relationships, and the media is helping with this. They're presenting the argument as if this is about feelings. People have feelings, they love each other, therefore we should call it marriage. Interestingly, we have statements from people in the gay community in the last 10 years saying, we've got civil unions, we've got superannuation rights, we've got every single thing that we could want under law that we wanted in the first place. And so they will ask the question, why then do you want to change the definition of marriage? And this spokesperson said, we've got practically nothing to gain, we just want to prove a point. Now, that reminds me of what happened in the United States, is that in 19 states, the vote was put to the people. In 19 states, the people voted, despite the opinion polls, they voted against changing the laws, they voted to retain the traditional definition of marriage. In 19 states, the High Court intervened and overturned the people's popular vote. Now, the courts can't do that here, but the Parliament has the power here to change the law, and the courts won't be able to interfere. However, for some reason, our members of the ALP and the Greens at the moment don't want to go to a plebiscite. I think the reason is because they're overrepresented in the Parliament, and if we do go to a plebiscite, they'll be shown up. They'll be exposed.
Okay.
And I think the media's helping by perpetuating this debate as if it's all about feelings. That marriage was never about feelings. And one of the things that's very important with marriage is it's about the children. It's about what will come out of a relationship and how you get children into the relationship. And there's a term in law that talks about the state being the parent of last resort. So when all else breaks down, when all else fails, when the next of kin can't look after a child, when worst case scenario, disaster, you put that child under the care of somebody who is not its biological parents. The IVF generation, those who adopted, they've been speaking in the last 20 years about how they wanted to know who their father was and expressing anger in the public about being, it wasn't a last resort, they were removed from their biological parents. It was done deliberately, almost as an experiment. One of the first role of an ethicist is to say, just because we can do it doesn't mean we should do it. And to talk about marriage, same-sex unions, if you want to apply children to those relationships, you do need to create or manufacture children and then bring them into that relationship. I question, from the child's point of view, I question that, whether that's the most respectful and loving thing to be doing for a child. Based on their testimonies of children who have been brought up in those relationships. One girl who was raised by 2 lesbian mothers said they were great. They were fantastic. They loved me, they gave me everything they could, but they weren't my father. I want to know who my father is. There's something they tell us deep in the human spirit that wants to know our origins. Who am I? Where do I come from? And it appears that you can't run away from that.
Beautiful. And so what sort of advice could you give on this topic? Like, how would you like to see things change, or how would you like to help people who are considering this, or give some sort of positive angle on it?
Well, there's a couple of things that need to be... The public needs to know what they're voting about or what they're talking about first, that it's not about feelings. They also need to know, this is something I believe is true, is that a majority of the population does not want a change in the definition of marriage. I've seen it, I've asked, I've spoken to people, I've had responses from other people. I think the media is misrepresenting the public opinion. I believe that nearly 2/3 of Australians do not want a change in the definition of marriage, yet there's propaganda in the media, and it's also being supported by the Greens and ALP politicians. But there's even more to this debate, is that if people think that once they've got rid of complementarity, the man and the woman, that's going to be it, they are very mistaken, because there's a whole movement to, as soon as that's gone, to also get rid of the monogamy, the one man, one woman, or 2 people in a marriage. For the last 12 years, that has been, at least from what I've seen, that's been in discussion. So people are already pushing to get rid of the 2 people in a marriage and pushing for 3 people marriages. I've got a quote here from the leader of the Greens in the UK, and she had this to say. The Greens Party in the UK is open to the idea of 3-person marriages, Natalie Bennett has said. Miss Bennett said she was open to further conversation and consultation, unquote, about the prospect of state recognising polyamorous, so more people in a love relationship. She made the comments in conversation with Pink News, the LGBT website. So the public needs to know that this is not just about recognising people's love for each other. David Blaskerville made it.
So we have to go to a break, but you can talk on this when we get back. Sorry. You're watching NAT Chat. Stay with us. We'll be back with more very shortly.
Shave a hand, you really think we can conquer blood cancer?
Yes, I do.
So, how did you go?
Oh, I haven't even started yet. That was just my workout routine. We need you. Sign up now.
Stop! Hold it right there. Have you done your pool safety check? Maintain the barriers, check the gate, and never leave anything that can be climbed on near the fence. Have you brushed up on your CPR skills? And don't tempt kids with toys. Tidy up.
Is that all?
When kids are around the pool, keep watch. They need your attention all the time. Okay, in we go.
Download your free home pool safety checklist and help Royal Lifesaving make this weekend your home pool safety weekend.
I got my big break about 5 years ago.
My big break came 10 years ago.
I got my break about 8 years ago.
If you're over 50 and have recently had a bone fracture from a minor bump or fall, you may have osteoporosis.
If you've had one break from osteoporosis, there's a good chance you'll have another.
Find out more, talk to your doctor, or call Osteoporosis Australia today.
Don't wait for your next big break.
Transports of Distant Delight is a mixed selection of transportation pictures from here and there and almost everywhere, but not quite. Some quirky, some mundane, some from the past, perhaps reflecting a transit system that has vanished into history, and some from thriving transport entities that continue to endure despite the constant pressures from the all-pervasive motor car. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to Nat Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're with Patrick Sibley, who's done his Masters in Bioethics, and we're discussing quite a lot of interesting things. Welcome back to the program, Patrick.
Thanks, Mirella.
So before we went to the break, you were talking about David Blaskill and what's going to happen in the future.
All right.
Blaskill, is that
Actually,
right?
David Blaskill was just someone I was quoting who said a few years back, don't blame the gay lobby for messing up marriage. The reason I said that is because we're talking about the marriage debate has been presented by the media as one all about feelings, but that's because the heterosexual population had already reduced love relationship to feelings, nothing about commitment, nothing about responsibility, and it's bred right into our adolescence with the safe sex message. It's just all about doing whatever you feel like, and marriage has been sort of gradually broken down, no fault divorce, and this is just one more thing in the chain of events, is that, yeah, sure, if other people treat commitment relationships as passing, as, yeah, I love you for as long as I feel like it, and it's all about how I feel, and of course, people who experience same-sex attraction, why should they not go by the same standards? So it's this is certainly not anyone saying your feelings don't matter if you happen to be someone with same-sex attraction. This is about saying, hang on, it's not your fault, but we need to go a whole step back further and say marriage is not about feelings. Sure, it's part of it, but in the law, there's nothing to do with feelings. Kathy Roos, American lawyer, was saying this would be the first time in history where we start legislating for people's feelings. She's saying feelings is none of people's business. It's not the state's interest. The state's interest is for marriages about a well-ordered society and the status of children. But my point, where I was getting to, was if the public needs to know that the lobby that's pushing for same-sex marriage they are not stopping there. I just had the example of them pushing for polygamous relationships, and that's been in conversation for 12, 15 years, probably longer. I've got another quote here by in David Van Gen's book, Stealing from a Child. He's quoting a lady by the name of Vera Bergelsen who is promoting in her book incest, that be recognised by the state as well. Her book, titled Vice is Nice, but Incest is Best.
What?
The Problem of Moral Taboo. So first of all, she lays some very terrible foundations for her argument, saying that the reason behind people's sort of opposition to this was they felt repulsed and disgusted. Well, actually, no, that wasn't the reason behind our laws and customs. Our laws and customs are based on Greek philosophical tradition and Judeo-Christian law, the Ten Commandments, basically. That's what our whole society runs on. Yeah. That's the order that we have in our Western democratic society. And if we start throwing these things away, there's a steam train behind this argument. If we let this pillar fall, this marriage between a man and a woman, it's a deck of cards, a domino effect. There's just one thing after the other lined up hidden behind this agenda. It's enormous. Joseph Cardinal Ratzinger, who became Pope Benedict XVI, a man who was raised in Nazi Germany, was well aware of how totalitarian regimes get up and running. And he said, it's very obvious how they work. He studied the Nazis, he studied the communists in Russia. they create disorganisation, destabilise a society, and then they come in to rescue as the rescuers. So the rescue mission here is, we'll just change. We've messed up family, no-fault divorce, children that haven't been raised by their parents because their fathers predominantly are not around, irresponsible men. And then to fix all this, we'll fix it by changing the law and saying that it's all right to have anyone getting married, and we'll create children for those relationships. Ratzinger went on to say, if we make these changes, he didn't say it'll be problematic, he said there'll be very grave consequences. Very grave. And he was talking about changing the fundamental relationships in our society. This is not just about a few people loving each other and giving them a marriage certificate. Fundamental relationships, very grave consequences. I just thought of something about what marriage really is, something very beautiful that I read a few weeks back, which was in a sermon by a German, a guy that was martyred, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And in a sermon for a married couple, he said to this young couple, "Today you are young and very much in love, and you think that your love can sustain your marriage. It can't. But your marriage can sustain your love." Now, what he was talking about was, in the traditional understanding of marriage, God is invited into a relationship. Now, this forms a little bit of the basis of our laws in Western society on marriage. So it's not just about over-romanticising your feelings and love, as if you two can keep each other, you're going to have great feelings for the rest of your marriage. No, it's about needing God's bit of strength from God. And our laws reflect that at the moment. The reason before I said that the left was overrepresented is because I see the amount of money spent, factions particularly within the Labor Party, to support into Parliament people who share certain political views, which don't necessarily serve the good of a society. And I think it would be good to go to a plebiscite or to hear what the people really think about marriage when they understand the debate which is at hand.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's been wonderful to have you here, Patrick.
Thanks very much, Marella.
You've been watching NAT Chat. I'm Marella Rich, and our guest was Patrick Sibley. Hope you enjoyed the program. See you again soon.
Well, we've reached the end of the current series of NAT Chat, so we'll be starting to repeat episodes from next week. However, we will be showing some new episodes around late May when we start our NAT Chat Origins series. For now, we will start broadcasting double episodes of Harmony University starting from 8:30 PM on Monday nights, and from May we will have new episodes of Inline Plus in that time slot. So for now, let's cross to Harmony University.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
Alleluia. Om Mani Padme. Om. Allah.
Welcome. You're watching Harmony University, and today we're speaking with Tanya Smith. She's an atheist and a member of the Atheist Foundation of Australia. Thanks for coming in, Tanya.
Thanks for having me.
The format that we normally go through is to talk about your spiritual evolution, if you like.
Or non-spiritual.
Or non-spiritual, as the case might be. But we're talking about atheism. So can you just give a little potted view of what atheism means, just in your own words?
In its simplest sense, atheism is just the absence of belief in any gods or the supernatural.
Okay, well that's straightforward. And as we discuss it, I'm sure it'll become clearer.
Sure.
Born into what sort of a family? Religious family?
No, my family was pretty indifferent on the topic of religion. My father was raised Anglican, but by the time I came along, he'd largely lost interest in it. My mother was raised by rationalists, although they themselves were raised Jewish, but she was pretty disinterested in the topic of religion. So I learned a bit about what it was. I mean, this was the 1970s in Australia, so Christianity was the main religion that I heard about. But I was encouraged to think. I was taught to think about everything, to look for evidence, to ask questions, and not to just accept what I was told, to always sort of work out a rational basis for whatever I thought. So I pretty much learnt for myself, asked questions, and came to the conclusion pretty early on that religion didn't make any sense.
When you say early on, what sort of early on would that be?
Sort of 6, 7, 8 kind of age. I remember when I was about 7 being asked by a neighbourhood child, do you believe in God? And I understood enough at that time to understand the basics and what they were asking me, and I said no. And they said, well, you're going to die before you're 21. And I remember thinking at the time, well, you know, that doesn't sound right. And I'm well past 21, so clearly it wasn't right. I mean, it didn't particularly bother me, but I now look back and actually think, well, you know, who was the person who placed that thought in my neighbour's head? You know, who made them think that their friends were going to die? That's actually a really awful thing to tell a child. But so for me, no, I wasn't raised to be religious. I wasn't raised to be an atheist. I was just raised to think and ask questions, and then it was left to me pretty much to work it out for myself.
Right, right. And that's clearly grown a lot out of your mother, really, from the rationalist background of...
I think so. I mean, I grew up in a, you know, shall we say, traditional household where my father went to work, my mother was home with the children, and so she was the greater influence on my life, and she was very much into stimulating your mind and making sure that you asked questions and that you thought about things. And so I applied that process to everything, you know, to politics as you grow up, to social issues, to things like that. And religion was just one more thing in that category. It was an idea about how the world works. Here's some suggestions, think about it, and you think, well, actually, no, that doesn't make a lot of sense, so I don't believe it.
Right, right. Okay, you're 7 or 8, you have the neighbour say that.
Yep.
What happened then? Where was the next?
Well, I didn't have a religious education. I went to Montessori kindergarten, Montessori primary school. The only religious school I went to was a Uniting Church school for year 11 and 12, but by that time I was pretty firmly of the view that there really wasn't anything in any of the various religions of the world. So religion wasn't a major influence in my life. I had the odd friend. I remember one when I was about 16, who was a bit of a young earth creationist, actually, who genuinely believed that Adam and Eve were real people, that God had created the world 6,000 years ago, and she told me that I was going to spend eternity in hell. And I remember saying, I don't think that's very likely, actually. But, you know, we still got along reasonably well. I mean, I was fortunate in the sense that I grew up in Melbourne. I was professionally, I have a professional career. I was well educated. It's well known amongst my friends and my work colleagues that I'm an atheist. I'm not discriminated against. I'm fortunate. There are people in this world whose atheism puts in jeopardy their physical safety, their job, their family. I'm not in that situation. So for me, religion wasn't a major influence on my life. It was something that I would argue with people about from time to time if the topic came up. But it was really as I became an adult and I started looking at social justice issues that I cared about and seeing that on the opposite side, the opposition was predominantly religious, that I got more interested in getting involved in active atheism.
Right, right. And how long ago was that you started?
About 5 years ago. I became a member of the Atheist Foundation of Australia. From there I got involved in organising the 2010 Global Atheist Convention. I ended up on the board of Atheist Alliance International, and so over the last 5 years I've done quite a bit of volunteer work in atheism. Good.
We'll go back to that in a minute. You went to uni, didn't you?
Yes.
Any atheist organisations there that you're connected with?
Well, at the time there weren't really atheist organisations in Australian universities. It's now much more widespread, and most of the major universities in Australia do have an atheist or secular or skeptics group. But at the time, no. I mean, there were Christian groups on campus, but I didn't really have anything to do with them. So it really wasn't much of an issue for me through my university life, unless the topic came up in some particular discussion.
Did you find at any point, or do you find now, that the evolution of having atheist friends or people who approximated to atheism. Did that start to happen? Did you collect people around you, or you were alone much of the time?
Well, I don't know if that many of my friends would specifically identify as atheists, other than the people I've become friends with through doing volunteer work in atheism. But I think that most of my friends probably have broadly similar views to me on things like social justice issues and fairness and equality in the way that you want people to be treated. And so they even if they have any religious tendencies, they tend to not be very strong.
Well, you mentioned the atheist volunteerism. What did that lead you into?
Well, I joined the organising committee of the 2010 Global Atheist Convention, and that was an amazing experience. I joined the committee maybe 6-9 months before the convention was on, and frankly, none of us had really done anything quite like that before. And then somehow we organised a 2,500 person convention at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre. It was the biggest of its type, subsequently superseded by the 2012 Global Atheist Convention, also organised by the Atheist Foundation of Australia, although not me personally. It was amazing. It is one of the things that I'm most proud of having done. It was just an amazing feeling. It was the first time anything like that had been done on that scale in Australia, and we had 2,500 people all in the one place. The energy was incredible. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. So that was the convention, and then I joined the board of Atheist Alliance International, and a little bit accidentally ended up becoming president after it went through an international demerger. So I was actually having a career break at the time in France, and I ended up spending a year being president of Atheist Alliance International.
Right. So, all right, Australia is the one that was one of the organising forces in the first of those conferences. Why was it seeded in Australia? How did it arise here?
Well, the origin was actually Atheist Alliance International, which was, despite its international name, a largely American group. It started up in the early 1990s, and it had done a series of conventions in America that had grown in size and become increasingly successful. It had expanded into having international members, the Atheist Foundation of Australia being one of them. And the then president, Stuart Beckman, came to the Atheist Foundation of Australia and said, look, we think we can organise Richard Dawkins. We think it's time to take these conventions outside America. What do you think about having one in Australia? And the AFA backed it. And it was a very big step for the Atheist Foundation, and it went really well.
Yeah, so that's great. We'll actually come back to that because we've got a bit of a time issue which has arisen. We'll be back in a moment.
This bank is helping to save lives. Every year, 500,000 Victorians have no idea where their next meal is coming from. Food Bank Victoria works with farmers, supermarkets and manufacturers to make sure their surplus stock ends up here to be distributed to those in need. But all of this is not enough. Right now, this bank needs interest, your interest, to support Victorians in need. If you can help, visit foodbankvictoria.org.au.
We reckon one of the most powerful things in the world is this sausage. Because a sausage can do just about anything. It helps people to walk, see and hear, supports families after fire, drought and flood, and even helps plant trees in our community. Our sausages are working to cure cancer, helping farmers in tough times and connecting people who are new to a community. And at the same time that they're doing all that, they're nurturing the leaders of tomorrow while building friendships that last a lifetime. Yep, these humble sausages are more powerful than you can believe. They're working wonders in our community. And at Lions, so can you. Lions Australia, we serve more than sausages.
William Tyrrell was abducted from his nana's home on the New South Wales mid-north coast on the 12th of September 2014. And somebody knows who did it. Do you? There is a $1 million reward for information that leads police to William. That's 1 million reasons to make the call. Contact Crime Stoppers now. 1800 333 000. Make the call.
I was born with shaver hands. And you were born with a cranium that never stops sprouting hair. It's time that we joined forces. Sign up now.
Alleluia. Mani. Allah.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Tanya Smith. Tanya's an atheist, and she's a member of the Atheist Foundation of Australia. We're talking about the convention that you were part of organising, and this is always a question with that type of thing. What were the sort of key outcomes? Were there any key outcomes from it?
I think the most important thing is that it raised the topic of religion in Australia and its role in public policy. I think one of the positions that religion has, which is of great advantage to it, is that it's privileged, and people don't feel that it's rude to challenge it. This put up the idea, it got everybody together, they had a great time, but it gave people the courage to stand up and say, yes, I'm an atheist, and I'm willing, religion's just an idea, I'm willing to question it, I'm willing to probe it, I'm willing to critically analyse it and see what's there. And when it does harm, I'm willing to point that harm out. And so I think there's a huge sense of community in people coming together and having a huge amount of fun over a weekend in an event like that. It created a huge buzz in the community, and it was so successful that it went on to the 2012 Global Atheist Convention, which had 4,000 people and was even bigger. It was an amazing event. So I think that's probably the most important thing. It provided a community event for everybody, and it raised the issues. It was all across the newspapers, people talking about these issues, and I think that's one of the most important things. Religion has a privileged place in our society, and it's really important that we start talking about that and people recognise the influence that religion has, and not just accept that influence, not just say, oh yes, it's fine that religion influences our laws, but critically analyse them and try and get back to saying, look, you can have your religion, but it shouldn't affect the laws that affect everybody else. And so really we should get back to laws that are based on reason, evidence and compassion, and just leave religion to people's personal positions if that's what they want to have.
Reason, evidence and compassion. So that's another key plank of the atheist approach.
Well, it certainly is for me. I mean, I care very much about social justice issues. I think one of the things that comes from being an atheist is, you know, this is your only life. This is it. And I think I and many atheists want to get to the end of our lives and be happy with what we've achieved. And some people see that as a negative position, that there's nothing, no hope, nothing to live for, no grand purpose. And no, I don't think there is any grand purpose. I don't think the universe cares very much at all, indeed, about what I do or what people do. But what that does do is give you the freedom to create your own meaning. So people find meaning in their families, in their children, in their dogs, in chocolate, in wine, in walks on the beach, in volunteer work. They create their own meaning, and they live very rich and satisfying lives because of it. There's a fantastic quote from Ayaan Hirsi Ali which says, and I'm paraphrasing, but it goes along, death is certain, replacing the siren song of paradise and the dread of hell. That means life on this earth, for all its beauty, pain and mystery, is to be lived more intensely. We stumble and we get up. We feel loneliness, pain, joy and love. There is nothing more, but I want nothing more. And it's a beautiful quote.
Yes, yes it is. And I want nothing more on that basis. There seems to be a thrust of ethical principles sitting behind it. What are the key ethical principles that sit behind atheism? Are they listable in any identifiable way?
Well, atheism, like I said, in its simplest form, is just the absence of belief in a God. So that doesn't tell you what to think, but it tells you to think. And so we are social creatures. We've evolved in a group. We've evolved to be cooperative. And so when I look at it, I think at the very basis you've got the golden rule, which predates Christianity and many other religions, of the do unto others as you have done to you type thing. And so I think the basic principles of kindness, of compassion for your fellow creatures, of desire to live in harmony, of fairness, of kindness, of simply being nice to people is really as simple as it gets, and trying to be a good person, trying to make a positive contribution to society. I think these are the things that I value, these are things that many atheists value.
They're obviously the tenets of principles that a lot of theists would value as well.
They're also humans.
Yeah, that's right, it's common ground. So you've alluded to the fact that religion has a privileged place. Elucidate that a bit.
Well, I think there are some views that are quite harmful in society that seem to have more credence when they're a religious view. So if you say, well, I don't think gay couples should be able to get married, I expect you to have a reason for that. You're talking about legal discrimination against our fellow citizens. But somehow if you say, well, my religion, my God says that gay couples can't get married, somehow that's a view that I'm supposed to respect. And I don't respect that view. That's a harmful view. There are people who want to get married who can't, who are told that simply for who they are, it's okay to be legally discriminated against. Now, I don't mind if churches, mosques and synagogues don't want to marry same-sex couples. I don't think they're right, but I respect that, it's your house. If you don't want to marry those people, that's fine. But we're talking about legal discrimination here. We're talking about people who pay taxes and are part of society and deserve equal protection under the law. That is one of the basic principles of a fair society. But somehow I'm supposed to respect that view just because it's backed up by an old book or by a particular interpretation of a book. And I don't respect that view. I respect the right of someone to have that view, but I will argue with that view because it is harmful. It is discriminating against our fellow citizens. It is an attitude that contributes to the higher rates of suicide and depression among the GLBT community, and it's not fair. It's simply not being nice to people. And that's the best we can strive for, is to try and do good in the world.
So that's where, when you allude to the religion having that privileged place, it's this place
it's the
of
respect.
being unchallenged in some quarters.
Yes, that's right. You stand up and you put on an appropriate outfit and you represent that you're part of a religion. You can say some pretty horrible things. You can advocate for legal discrimination. You can take away women's reproductive rights. You can advocate that people shouldn't be allowed to decide their end of life choices. You can advocate for discrimination against GLBT people, against stem cell research. Lots of different areas where you're advocating views that are actively harmful to members of the population, and yet you cloak it in religion and it's somehow more respectable.
Yeah, I think there's a key there. Of course, it's the advocacy is not the issue. It's the fact that advocacy tends to be supported by the system. Is that not the point?
I think that's the issue. You're obviously entitled to have a view backed up by religion or otherwise. You're obviously entitled to put that view forward, but your view does not deserve any more respect simply because it's cloaked in religion. It's just an idea. It's an idea that should be critically analysed.
And ideas have their time. And we're out of it for the moment.
Well, some ideas have never really been a good idea.
We'll be back in a moment.
Hello, I'm here to let you know that Inline Plus will return from late May on Community TV and here on YouTube and Facebook. We will start off with 4 episodes shot in Adelaide, and then we will move on to some programs from Sydney and Melbourne. If you would like to get involved in our Sydney or Melbourne shoots, please get in touch with us now. For further information on the show, please visit inlineplus.net. Until then, we look forward to seeing you then, and bye for now.
So, you think you're ready for this?
To take on the world? Why not?
It's shave time! Sign up now!
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. We're speaking with Tanya Smith. She's an atheist and a member of the Atheist Foundation of Australia. Tanya, we're talking about the privileged position of religion, and as we're saying before the break, the power of that is the fact that governments tend to give more credence to the religious-based aspect. As an activist, and if you don't mind me calling you an activist atheist, what sort of moves could you make to create an alternative to that, to counter that?
I think the only really fair alternative is secularism. I don't think a government should be either religious or atheist. A government is there to represent all its citizens equally, no advantage and no disadvantage by being either religious or atheist. So the best thing a government can do is to simply step back and say, right, whatever worldview you want to take, that's fine, you're quite entitled to it. I, over here, will get on with governing for everybody. So I'm going to base my laws on reason, evidence and compassion. I'm going to do what's best for the outcome for society. And whatever your interpretation of your particular holy text, that's up to you. You can go and argue amongst yourselves about it. But that shouldn't be influencing the laws, because the laws are for everybody.
Yes.
You know, if you pick an example like abortion, for example, there are certainly Christians and Muslims and so forth who think that that shouldn't be allowed. I would never tell a Christian or a Muslim woman, well, of course you must have an abortion under these circumstances. That's ridiculous. If you don't want to have an abortion, that's fine. But what I don't want is you saying, well, I can't have an abortion. I don't believe in your God. I'm not remotely concerned about your hell or the principles that you have from this old book. I want a law that's based on reason and evidence and compassion that allows me to make choices about my life. So the important thing is just not so much to impose any view on anybody, but simply to take religion out of the equation when it comes to government and say, whatever you think on religion is not a matter for the government. We're going to be neutral and we're just going to get on with making laws.
And that would need to be based on what, ethical principles? Where would you draw that justice from? Where would you be able to justify?
Well, I guess you could start with basic human rights principles. I mean, we talk about things like people having physical security, people having freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience. You're looking for, I guess, issues that laws that produce the best social outcomes, that produce a harmonious and productive society where people are free to be themselves without government interference, except as is necessary to promote the safety of others.
So we've got here a multicultural and multi-faith society. There need to be some fairly careful pathways negotiated between the various communities. We're not exclusive in being multi-faith, multicultural. Is there anywhere in the world that basic atheist principles are creeping into government in a quiet way?
Well, I don't think you can really have atheist principles in a government specifically. Because atheism is the absence of a religion. It doesn't tell you what to do. So all it would do is tell you, okay, go and think of something. You have to use, again, reason and evidence to try and come up with the laws I mean, I think if you look at, the Scandinavian countries tend to be looked to as the best examples of places that are broadly secular, take a step back and just say, well, you get on with things and we're going to provide a social welfare system and provide that sort of sense of government separation from the religious process. But I'm not sure there's any place you could point to that's got it completely right.
No, I'm sure you're right. There's a movement at the moment, and I think it's, what's it called, the Sunday groups or the Sunday meetings?
The Sunday Assembly.
Sunday Assembly, that's right, thanks for that. You went to one of those meetings.
I've been to one, yeah.
Yes. And the idea behind that is to give a place for atheists or
non-religious people,
or
I think it's about, godless, I think is the term they use. I think it's about providing a sense of community. I mean, for many people, it can be quite lonely to be non-religious. A lot of atheists, non-religious people, whichever title they like to use, are people who have formerly been religious, from people who maybe like that sense of community on a Sunday, maybe people who've unfortunately lost their family members or some of their friends as they've come to the realisation that they're not in fact religious and don't want to try and fake it anymore. So I think the Sunday assemblies can provide a sense of community, a sense of harmony, and just simply a fun thing for people to do. But there's no right way to be an atheist, really. I mean, I would say there's a right way to be a nice person, and it's great if when atheists follow that, but you don't have to go to a Sunday assembly to be a good atheist. You don't have to go to a Sunday to be any kind of atheist, really. But if people get joy out of it, if they get a sense of community, then fine, enjoy it.
One of the points that in our previous discussion was about the fact that you don't have a text.
No.
You have no atheist text as such. What's the criteria, what's the matrix against which you as an atheist go, I'm being a good atheist or I'm being a bad atheist?
Well, I suppose at the simplest level, it's just, do I believe in a God? No, okay, tick. You know, I'm an atheist. But I think if you want to take it one level higher, I think being a good atheist is about promoting good social justice outcomes.
Right,
I think it's about removing the places that religion has done harm, and particularly things like women's rights, LGBT rights, voluntary euthanasia. Those are situations where religion actively produces a negative outcome in our society. And so I think speaking up against those and not being afraid to say, well, yes, I'm an atheist, and I'm a good person. I have a good sense of ethics. I'm nice. I pat dogs, and I'm, nice to my friends, and I love chocolate, and I walks on the beach, and I have all this joy and this meaning in my life. But I don't need a God to do it.
Yes.
I just do it because I'm a human being. And so I think being out and proud about being an atheist is an important thing. Maybe not so much in Australia. And I live in Melbourne. It's reasonably progressive as things go. But there are people in the world who merely being an atheist is a danger to them. And so I think it is important to not forget those people and not just pretend that, oh, well, it's all very fine for me, but to actually be open and active about it. And that's why I'm a member of the Atheist Foundation of Australia and Atheist Alliance International. I think it's really important to show solidarity with people who are in a less fortunate position and to try and minimise the harm that religion does in our society. I've been acting and campaigning for same-sex marriage in Australia, for women's reproductive freedoms, against special religious instruction in Victorian schools. I think these things are important. They influence the society that we all live in, and I want the society to be better. It's my society too.
Tanya, thank you so much. You've elucidated atheism and secularism very, very clearly. So we will talk about this some other time.
Great.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Next week we'll be back with another interview.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu
I'm able to dream, I'm able to smile, I'm able to grow, and I'll go the extra mile, one day at a time. So put your hands together, we can change lives forever. Together, we're able.
Able Australia. Together, we're able.
Alleluia. Om Mani Padme Om.
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. And today we're speaking with Kate Murray. And Kate's the head organiser of the Sunday Assembly in Melbourne. We'll talk more about the Sunday Assembly later, but first we'll just have a look at Kate's spiritual history. Kate, where did it all begin?
Well, I was raised as a Christian, but my parents we moved around a lot. They were both in the Navy. So, so I became what I call a nomadic Christian, which is we moved from place to place and we just went to our local church, whatever that happened to be. So I ended up experiencing from a very young age a wide variety of Christianity, basically, and was quite aware of how diverse Christianity was. Then when I was about in grade 4, I went to a Catholic primary school, and then I went on to an all-girls Catholic high school. And so I was immersed in Catholicism, all my friends were Catholic, and to go from more liberal sort of Christianity like Baptist Church, for example, which is much more about community, much more uplifting, much more light-hearted, to the firm, sort of ritualistic patterns of Catholicism, that kind of threw me off my perch a bit. And that's when I first started questioning Christianity as a whole, or just questioning ethics and morality, really, and asking, if this is so diverse, if Christianity can be interpreted in so many different ways, what else am I missing that isn't necessarily set in stone? From there, I went back to public school for VCE. I'd had enough of Catholicism. And then from there, I became a Wiccan. And then I went on to New Age beliefs, so quite diverse sort of spiritual stuff, and some with, some without God. And then, so I just formed my own belief system for a number of years. And then it wasn't until about 2011 that I realised I was an atheist, and it was more of a realisation than a revelation. And I realised I'd probably been an atheist for a while and just hadn't put that label upon myself. So, and that's where I am today.
So that label atheist, what did that mean to you when you said, I think I'm an atheist? What did you interpret it as?
Yeah, well, to me it meant that I didn't believe in God, and I didn't believe in the Christian God. So to me it meant that I rejected the idea of a giant man in the sky and the rules of the Christian text, or even actually Judeo-Christian altogether, because it's the same guy in all three stories. So, yeah, trilogy. But, and I didn't think about the wider definitions of God, of course. I just thought about those ones. But it was interesting because I had friends say to me, you don't want to be calling yourself an atheist, even if you don't believe in God. You don't want to run around telling people you're an atheist because it has a stigma. And I thought that can't be right. But then I went into reading or hearing about Dawkins and Hitchens and, these sorts of prominent atheists, and I went to some social groups and all of this, and I realised that, atheist wasn't necessarily a label that I wanted to show prominently, because it does have this stigma of people who are not just godless, but are anti-theist rather than atheist, which is a pity, because they're the extremists of that group in my experience. It's just that often the extremists are the loudest. So yes.
Yes, that's right. Now that's an interesting transition that you're talking about. Let's just go back to the earlier experience before you went into the Catholic system. What did that look like? What was it about that which was so comforting at the time?
So my best experiences were with St Kilda Baptist Church, and St Kilda at the time was very different as well. And Baptist Church was lovely. It was probably the place my family spent the longest as well, so that's part of it. But also there was a real sense of community there. It wasn't just about going to church and to Sunday school and learning about you know, the teachings of Jesus in the Bible. It was a lot more than that. It was a network, a social network of people who helped each other out inside and outside of church. So we used to have social events outside of church all the time. You know, when someone needed gardening done, all the people from the church would come around, they'd have a working bee in their backyard, or we'd have bake sales, or, you know, we'd all volunteer in an op shop for a day. There were all these really fun, wonderful things, and it was a community that we were a part of, and all my friends were, you know, part of the church and stuff like that. So, yeah, to me, the community was the wonderful thing about that, and that's something that I've now tried to replicate in Sunday Assembly Melbourne, to try and bring back that sort of a sense, but without God.
That's very interesting. We'll obviously come back to that. But there was a fairly well-known person as the pastor there at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, so my pastor at the time was, well, the Reverend Tim Costello, and he was also our next-door neighbour. So we grew up, Costellos and the Murrays grew up together, which is lovely. His daughter's the same age as me, so...
Right.
Yeah, and then he was my SRI teacher when I was in public school as well, so my religious education teacher. And I saw him at church. He was everywhere, Mr. Costello. So, yeah.
Well, he is still everywhere.
He still is, yeah.
But so there's a sort of a heart feeling going on there about that. What was there some input from Tim Costello that made that so, or is it just the Baptist Church per se?
That's a good question, because I've never really been a member of another Baptist church. Okay. And Tim is definitely a charismatic and eloquent and intelligent person. Yes. So he's a hard man not to like, you know, even if you disagree with him, he's a hard man not to like. So, and I definitely think that to me, even now, that community that he formed in St Kilda that I was lucky to be a part of is my idea of what Christianity should be. So that was my understanding.
There's another person who is hard to not like, but it's Father Time, and we're out of it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be back in a moment.
Imagine not seeing the world you live in. Macular disease is Australia's leading cause of blindness. Donate now to Macular Disease Foundation Australia. Call 1800 111 709 or visit mdfoundation.com.au.
Had enough of the bad news about carbon dioxide and climate change? Wood is one solution. Trees take CO2 from the air and store it in their wood. They're also renewable, unlike concrete and steel. But the wood you choose should be recycled or from certified plantations or forests. This helps protect areas of high conservation value. So next time you're building or buying something, make it wood and do your world some good.
If you were living on the streets, wouldn't you want more than just your best friend to keep you safe and warm? Donate to Backpack Bed for Homeless and give warm, waterproof protection and dignity tonight. Call 1300 OzHelp.
I want to get the word out to blokes about a little gland called the prostate. It's only the size of a walnut, but it can cause a whole lot of grief. Prostate cancer deaths pretty much equal breast cancer deaths. The problem is, if you wait too long, it may be too late. It took one of my mates. Don't make me angry. Talk to your doctor about your prostate, and if necessary, get it checked. You'd be nuts to leave it to chance.
So how have things been going?
When a young person is diagnosed with cancer, it affects their family, their friends, their entire world. Red Kite supports young people with cancer and those around them in real ways.
Yeah, hi, it's Michael. Yeah, I'm at the hospital.
We rely on your generosity to make a positive difference in the lives of thousands of families every year. We can't always make things better, but with your help, we can lighten the load.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and today we're speaking with Kate Murray, and she's the head organiser of the Sunday Assembly in Melbourne. We were at St Kilda and the Baptist Church and Tim Costello and talking about community. That community seemed to have had a big impact on you. What did it look like in its extended form? Is it still with you, that feeling for community?
Definitely. And I actually still know a lot of the people from that church today. And that was when, I must have been about 7. And now I'm in my 30s. And I still have connections from that community. And I think that's the testament to all communities, really, not just the Baptist church, is that good community lasts. You make ties and you make a social network that those bonds are very firm. And it's also a sensation, being a part of a network like that, it's a sensation that not everybody gets to experience these days, unfortunately. In this modern world, we have online communities, which is nice, but that's not physical human interaction. And it's so easy for us to stay indoors or from home to work and back again in our separate houses where we hardly even say good day to the neighbour, and not have a spot where we gather together to find what we have in common, explore the things that we don't have in common, and create those human connections. And when you do create those human connections, you can get so much more done and live such better lives.
Yes, I'm sorry to keep referring back to it, but I can see the siege of the Sunday Assembly being sown all the way through this.
Yes.
All about community. Yeah, very good. Okay, we roll over from that and we go to the Catholic system. We go to the Catholic school. What did that look like? When you first went into it, what was it like?
It was a shock at first, because I was always a quite fervent Christian, and I was always a very devout Christian. From a young age, I wanted to be just like Jesus, and I loved Mother Teresa, and I had quite a few heroes, all Christian. But the Catholic Church was such a different flavour of Christianity from what I was used to. It was much more regimented. There were a lot of rules that I'd never even heard of before. Even though I'd been to church, I'd read the Bible, I'd been to Sunday school, I thought I knew everything. Turns out, there was even more to it than that. And Mass, as opposed in Catholic Church as well, it's not as engaging. It's not about exploring ideas as much. It's more about stand up, sit down, say the right words at the right time. So at first as a child it was quite a shock, and like a bit of a culture shock. Then as a teenager, by then I'd settled in, I'd made my friends, and I was fairly happy, but I found a lot of conflict in what I was being taught as I became a woman, especially in all-girls school, because, of course, women have equal rights now, and there's feminism. And they want to produce independent, strong women that other women can look up to, of course. But at the same time, they're telling us that we can't control our infertility and we should be abstinent, we should get married and keep our husbands happy. And I found it very hard to resolve these two things at the same time. How am I supposed to be an independent woman when I can't make my own decisions about how my life's going to go, or when my role in life is meant to be to please someone else, and things like that. So that began my questioning, really.
I suggest there might be some questioning that Pope Francis is going through at the same time now, because it is obviously a conflict. So comfort, was there any comfort in that structure, in being part of something which had such certainty and ritual?
I definitely came to like ritual, because it is, if you have a system, or something standard, it's predictable, and predictability can be very comforting.
Yes.
Because you know what's expected of you and you know what tomorrow is going to bring. But I don't know if, to me, in my search to live a meaningful life, which I'm pretty sure all humans want to do or aspire to do, I don't think it's productive to have that standard way of living where you don't question, you don't change your ideas, and you don't step out of, you know, a monotonous existence.
Yeah.
So
out of the constraints
yeah.
of doctrine and dogma.
That's it.
Surrounding many Catholic churches, though, and Catholic parishes, there's quite a rich social activity. Did you find that had reflected anything of your earlier Christian experience?
Not as strongly, but there was definitely a lot of, there was definitely community still. And because my school was in a certain area and everyone came from the surrounding suburbs, so, you know, families got to know each other and stuff. But I definitely didn't feel, I think that in my experience with Catholicism, it was a lot more judgmental than Baptist was. Yes. Catholics don't say, like anyone can come to church in Catholicism, but I was never baptised as a Catholic, and as a child I was never allowed to take communion. So I was separated from the other children, not allowed to join in and break bread. And you know, to me, like as a child coming from a church where anyone who walks in the door is welcome to break bread with us, we're told that Jesus opened his arms to everybody.
Yes.
And then to go to a church where they say, no, little girl, you sit down, you're not one of us, I think is quite confronting, you know. But there are wonderful things about the Catholic Church as well. I don't want to sound like I've only got negative things to say. I definitely had good experiences as well. But overall, I don't think that it had that open-hearted warmness that I found in other congregations.
No, and that is a cogent observation for a young person, as you were. Being welcomed, to being embraced is extremely important. So it's very relevant to make that observation, I'm sure. Now, I want to ask you some more questions about Wicca, etc. But we're coming to a break, so I'll get ahead of the time. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetark.org.
My name is Logan. I'm 12 years old and I have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. My muscles are degenerating and I was put into a wheelchair 2 years ago. Soon I won't be able to move at all. The majority of people affected will not live past their 20s, including me. So we need your support to improve our quality of life until a cure is found.
Fashion.
Tick, 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 fun.
Tick, 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 food.
Tick, 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 festivals.
All make up 15 fabulous minutes.
In a half-hour special.
Presented to you by Jacqueline and Steve.
Every week. Time's up.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Kate Murray. And Kate is the head organiser for the Sunday Assembly in Melbourne. During the break we were talking about a Catholic, Father Bob.
Yep.
And you were saying that Father Bob has quite a lot of good things to say about Sunday Assembly.
Yeah, so that is one Catholic that I definitely have a place in my heart for, Father Bob. Although controversial as he is, I couldn't say I agree with him on everything. I doubt anybody does. But yeah, at the start of Sunday Assembly, he was very supportive. We were at the South Melbourne Commons, which is right next to St Peter and Paul's, where he was a father for a long time. So he helped us get that venue, and he came along to some of the first Sunday Assemblies and was a really great support. And I think his ability to say, even as a Catholic priest, with his own, his own organisation and his own venue and stuff, to say, no, we welcome everyone, as long as you're not causing any harm, as long as you're not protesting against us or, anything like that. He had a look at Sunday Assembly, he liked what it was doing, and he helped us out. And I think that's wonderful that people from different groups that have we have the common goal of creating community, he and us. So,
well, you're talking about guys like Tim Costello and Father Bob. These are guys, extraordinary guys, who pop out and make an impact no matter where they do it.
Yeah.
Let's wander off into Wicca. How did that happen?
Yeah. So I think, I was in my late teens, and I think that for me, Wicca was probably predominantly a rebellion against the Catholicism. So just to swing completely the other way, I'm done with this and now I'm going to go off and be a Wiccan. And at the time I thought it was a big rebellion, and looking back I realised it wasn't that big of a step, because Wiccan practice is very much about ritual, and it's very much about the smells and bells, the same sort of stuff as Catholicism, lighting the candles, having some incense, all of that sort of stuff. So in a way I think I was trying to rebel, but I was rebelling into something very similar that I was already in. So yeah.
That's a beautiful description, the smells and bells. That really sums it up. With Wicca, the high points, what was there something about it in general which started to focus you a bit?
Yeah, I think, partially, as I was saying about, growing into a woman within the Catholic Church, Wicca practice is kind of the opposite, where the female is lauded, and celebrated a lot. So I think that was very appealing to me at the time, rather than being ashamed of the form that I was born in. All of a sudden I was allowed to celebrate it and mix closely with other women who also celebrated femininity. So there was that, but also again, Wicca is about community. It's about getting together and doing ridiculous things like creating spells or whatever, or eating feasts, but there's fun in that, and there is connection in that, and it is coming together in that same way, and creating a little group or a coven, or whatever. Great for teenage girls,
Yes.
Yeah.
And it sort of celebrates fertility, doesn't it? In its own way.
Yeah.
So that was, as you say, it was quite contrary to the experience that you were having.
Yeah, very much.
About that question. How does Wicca, one of the questions that arises as far as your Catholic experience is talking to women about the fertility, etc. There seems to be a hole in that, because men don't get spoken to about their fertility, etc. Is Wicca also, is that just female focused, or does it bring the male into it as well?
It's a great question. I think that it is predominantly female focused in my experience. Mind you, my experience was when I was young. I didn't become like a theologian of Wicca or anything. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who know a lot more than I do. Yes. Men are included, but they, in my experience, they did play the lesser role, very much like women in Christianity sometimes end up playing the lesser role. The men were more supportive of the female. I don't know if that's how it's done everywhere, but that was in my circle,
yes. Okay, let's give New Age a run then. What happened with that?
Yeah, so then when I went to public school, and I was already into a bit of Wicca, and the people that I met there that had similar sort of ideas had much broader ideas than I did. And they said, well, if you think that, what do you think about this? And all of a sudden, because I'd stepped into this realm where I was allowed to question things now and anything was possible, I'd given up, I don't know if I'd fully given up Christianity, and I think it will always be the foundation for some elements of my personality, but, you know, I definitely stepped away from that for the time being. So all of a sudden, the opportunities were endless, and I started taking in every kind of idea that came my way. When someone said, did you know that, you know, there's energies, tangible forces of energy that we can see and control, I'd be like, all right, tell me more. Or if someone said, you know, we can connect and commune with animals, all right, tell me more about that. So, yeah, so I went into this sort of area where I basically cherry-picked the bits that I liked and got rid of the ones I didn't, things like horoscopes even. Like I didn't believe in the horoscopes in the paper, but I thought that birth charts were very important. So, yeah, it was a good time for me, though, because it was a freedom of belief for me, where I got to dictate what I believed in rather than being part of a formalised organisation.
Right. And then you rolled again into Sunday Assembly. Now we're coming to the end, so we'll just do a little bit of a synopsis here, because next week, if you'll come back, we'll talk about Sunday Assembly.
Yep.
What was the key that rolled you into that?
Wow, that's a good question as well. I think it was the fact that when I went into atheism and tried to find community within atheism, I actually found atheist community to be very adversarial and a lot of conflict of ideas and a lot of opposition within the community. There wasn't cohesion, and I wanted to create something with more cohesion.
We'll create something with more cohesion next week,
Yep.
Kate. If you can come back, that would be wonderful. And we'll talk about Sunday Assembly. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week to speak to Kate about Sunday Assembly. Bye for now.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu
Every time we buy certified organic, we're making a choice to help our environment and build a healthier community. But it can be hard to know that what we're buying is truly organic. The Australian Certified Organic logo is only given to products after a very rigorous process. So when you see this logo, it means you can trust that there are no genetically modified foods, no animal cruelty, and no harsh synthetic pesticides used. A healthier community is always better for our future. So the next time you shop, look for this logo.
Taking you to all of Melbourne's big events, it's 15 Fabulous Minutes, Mondays at 10. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
The following program carries an MA classification and may contain adult themes and coarse language. MELfeed.video advises that it is suitable for viewers aged 15 plus.
A poem I wrote especially for this evening. It's entitled Chronicles of a Lazy Man. 1. Things I didn't do today. I didn't manufacture a fragmentation bomb or a cluster bomb, a neutron bomb or an atomic bomb. I didn't declare a preemptive war on some poor third world country. I didn't bomb said country back to the Stone Age. I didn't declare victory on the deck of some aircraft carrier. I don't even own an aircraft carrier. I didn't turn back leaky boats full of refugees from said countries, claiming I've the right to say who comes into my country. I didn't invoke the final solution. I didn't pursue the Pacific solution. I didn't suspend the Human Rights Act, set back relations with our Indigenous peoples 100 years, and call it the little children are precious. I didn't look forward. I did not look backward. I did not vote. I didn't chop down the last tree, club the last fur seal, nor harpoon the last whale. I didn't rape the land, pollute the ocean, or poison the air. I didn't sell soap, wet dreams, or dodgy mortgage schemes. I didn't make millions. I didn't lose billions. I was not too big to fail. 2, all I managed to do today was read a book, write a letter, write a poem, and play the guitar. Have a conversation, help a lost soul, and find a friend. Take the dogs for a walk and feel the breeze in my face. I saw an ant. I saw an eagle. I watched the sun set and the evening star brighten as it kissed a blushing moon. I took a breath and decided to just keep on breathing. I guess that makes me a really lazy man. Thank you.
Beyond. You stay here and soon, I hope you're agitated enough. The door is ajar, artistically speaking, he said. If you don't drink the beer, it goes flat, and other homilies like flies seek the refuse like all the dead narratives. Alas, Horatio, you will go on, like bored police, sailors, adolescents, high as a dog whistle. In order to breathe, you keep your mouth shut. In this large machine, the tilt light, it never rains. Still the echelon blind roll out these tired carpets. The centrifugal is centripetal, mirrors like butterfly wings. Thank you.
I want a woman like Persephone, queen of the underworld, bad as bad can be. I want a woman like Persephone to satisfy the evil in me. I want to laugh like a lesbian in an espresso bar, kiss like the gay boys at the Nova Cinema. I want to transcend heaven and hell, be good when I want to, be bad as well. I want to be as immortal as Torchwood, who gave his only son for the cause of human good. I want to have multiple manifestations like Doctor Who reconstructs and reinvents. I want multiple resurrections too. I want to eat animal fat, not healthy canola. I want to be as socially inadequate as Brendan Favola. I want to shove my arm into a chicken's egg room, swing a cat in Adonis's garden, and be as intimidating as a peacock's plume. I want to be as crunchy as nachos, as fattening as chips, as greasy as burgers. I want to be cracked like a whip. So remember, the world doesn't end with a bang, it ends with a whimper. If Persephone was my bitch, I'd be obliged to pimp her. I often imagine Morris McNamara in a mink bikini and ponder the bigger questions of life, like how many beans can you fit into a beanie? Thank you.
Sport is for everyone.
No matter who you are or where you're from,
there's no place for discrimination in sport.
And everyone should feel welcome, safe,
respected and get a fair go.
Whether you're a player, a spectator, a coach or an official.
What do you want from your sport?
Are you ready to make a difference? Sport is for everyone.
And everyone starts with you.
Keep your sport inclusive,
safe, fair and fun.
For more information, go to playbytherules.net.au.
Come on, fellas. Let's get down there.
Hang on. Where's Dave?
Oh, hey fellas. What do you think? Pretty cool, eh?
Real men look out for each other. Don't let your mates drink and drown.
Hello, I'm here to let you know that Inline Plus will return from late May on Community TV and here on YouTube and Facebook. We will start off with 4 episodes shot in Adelaide, and then we will move on to some programs from Sydney and Melbourne. If you would like to get involved in our Sydney or Melbourne shoots, please get in touch with us now. For further information on the show, please visit inlineplus.net. Until then, we look forward to seeing you then, and bye for now.
Northern Access Television will turn 30 in 2020. We are planning a celebration night with a book and a special TV show about our history. If you're a past member or a volunteer of NAT, we would love to hear from you. For more details, visit the website nat30years.info and find out how you can help celebrate 30 years of media for the community. The 30th anniversary of Northern Access Television. Let's celebrate in 2020.
Called This, or How I Fell in Love with the Seventh Angel of the Apocalypse. She placed her finger on the softest point of the sky, then with the slightest pressure pushed deep into its fabric of being. She made a circular movement with her arm, peeling open the universe, as if the gaping meter-wide hole was the removed lid of a can. Out poured a puree of alternative stars, flooding into this here and now by the simple impress of her will. She turned around slowly from this operation and smiled at me, conspiratorially, as if the blithe act of my acknowledging her presence was enough for me to share in the responsibility for the consequences of her actions. I shook my head furiously and pointed at the beauteous colors enveloping the clouds of this late afternoon falling into evening, imploring with the silence of my eyes, pleading for her to undo this cruel destruction. Her impish grin, her dazzling eyes, filled me with the desire to be with her, where the waves of now and forever pour into each other, and the power of love's need is greedy enough to devour the will to be.
No! No!
And the second one, where the willing, we say yes, 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 we say we're willing, yes, 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 the willing, say yes, 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 we're willing, whatever you think, yes. Whatever you say, yes, yes, yes. Whatever you do, yes. We're willing, we're the willing, yes, yes. Your grace, your lordship, yes, 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 yes. We say yes, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, Mr. President, sir, yes.
I'm going to read a couple of poems about that I've done, not sort of I regard as on commission for Rafaela, and this one's the one about the greed. Too much. Walking round a tree is million-faceted. Each glance in one footstep pulls too much lumber into heaven, leaves too much falling to death. In winter, it's too bare, points out too many equations in unknown sky. In spring, buds of more seeds than can be trees. The weight of the sky in summer. In autumn, too many horn notes celebrating death. But all of it, if you don't hold it in your black heart, is just enough to dance, to sing.
Dragon clouds heat a weeping sky. Cranes fly under the river. All is reversed. The way forward is the way back. The way back is the way. Sacred, separate, the faithful, the unknowing, the adamant, all prepare to face beauty, radiance, above joy.
For Rex Buckingham, a bird. Dusk, cat, tree, nest, ground. Children bring in the wee bird for me to save. Not food, not water. Throat, too much story, not song. New day, not food, not water. Outside, Whose song? On a chair in the backyard, watching. Wee bird, heavy ground, sky a prayer. From all skies born, wattle bird mother feeds it there on the ground. 2 songs. For days she feeds it, at night I warm it. But it dies and I bury it. Eyes from bits found in a green creek God played in. The wattle bird flung spangle at the spider web and a heartbreak of her children. My hands have learned hearts. The sky is a white wall. Prayers are answers. The sky is nothing there. A flick of light in the room. I look for flight across the window. Hidden in the fat-headed melaleucas, wattlebird clacks and yarks like a rusty hinge. He flew away underground. I will dance and sing. In winter, a leafless tree opens the sky.
Mundane avenues of compensation. The daily habits you absently flatter yourself for, like recycling or being kind to insects. Of course, there are games available, like fish or water, or guess who that is up in the tree. Meanwhile, paying the rent is a major achievement, and those moments you think how pointless your last hour has been nudge you like desire into new depths of ontology.
This is my only other poem of the night. This is kind of a bit personally, kind of makes me look horrible, but as you look at me, you're not surprised. Horse. It was a bloody hot day, a heat wave in November. Each year, Christmas comes around more quickly. Her place has an air conditioner, but she's sick of how I keep looking at women. Is my continuing heat a result of dissatisfaction with her? A fair enough question. And really, lying on the bed, fat and sweaty, I'm not an attractive proposition. She deserves a better answer. Approaching the 4th quadrant of life, I'm not sure what satisfies, how honesty resides with the impulse to open cupboard doors. Is it just weariness that makes me think making love to one woman is pretty much like making love to the next? Yet we have this urge to impress, and so on, seeking, really, the one who gets the joke, who rounds up lightly the desire to stampede, takes the horse without taking the horse out of the horse. Who can understand what horses think? And why shouldn't women be the same as men? Ah yes, excuse me. Your heart also. Thank you.
It was a dark and stormy night in a bar over a strawberry margarita. Steve and Jacqueline had time to kill, so they decided to slaughter it. The result, 15 fabulous minutes. You be the judge.
Joy, well-being, community, inclusion.
Special Olympics is a global movement for people with an intellectual disability.
creating a world of inclusion and community through sport, where every person is accepted and welcomed, regardless of ability. One athlete, one volunteer, one family member at a time, helping to make the world a better place. Join the inclusion revolution by supporting Special Olympics.
And choose to include.
Every day, in many ways, the Royal Flying Doctor Service takes the finest care to Australia's furthest corners so that all Australians can enjoy the best of health. The Royal Flying Doctor Service has been taking care of Australians for over 80 years. But we still need your help to continue providing emergency rescue and essential health care to remote and rural communities. Make a donation or become a supporter and help keep the Flying Doctor flying.
Show Me the Way creates the first social networking sites for Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. With secure online mentoring, Show Me the Way supports students to complete their schooling and continue to TAFE, university or vocational education. Show Me the Way connects students with e-mentors from corporate Australia. With secure online mentoring, Show Me the Way supports students to complete Year 12. To donate, visit showmetheway.org.au.
Mr. ZZ, Mr. ZZZ, Mr. ZZZ gives me slipper, 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 slipper to fit. It's made of gel and jelly. It fits my foot easy. Say, Cindy, Cindy. Say, Cindy, Cindy, Cinderella. And Barbie doll now. Say, Barbie, Barbie, Barbie. I slip in easy. I slip in oily. I put in right foot and left foot and all fits me. My skin fits me now. I fit me and fit my fit, I say bazooka. I carry it, say fit me, fit, say fit. I feel my skin now. Plenty good and plenty say I good that, good now, to feel good now. Say now good to feel good all over. Say good to feel good now. Say Jamie, I fit, say with mommy, say with daddy, both dead. Say I fit now. Say that's how I wake up. I'm in front house and daddy, mommy, daddy, dad, say dad. Landlady, I slip in and glad, so glad, so glad. Oh, glad days now. Oh, yes, set fits and shoe fits me. Red shoe fits and fits me. Cindy and Cindy and Cindy out. I make a wood floor now and knock on every wood now for luck. I say good and goody, 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 goody. Are we having you today? Goody, goody, Miss Goody, goody, yum, yum, yum. Now say, good tastes good now. I taste me tasty. I good to me. I got a house set body. I got a house set in my body. Set, that's me, Olympy, on a bed. I have a maid where to put her. I have a maid where to put her. In a flat I clean and clean now. Say Cindy, 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 Cindy. Oh, I give a museum to all this now. Say, put in museum, collect photos. My say past and past now. I order a party for me. Say, be a trek and a sharp pencil now. Say, sharp me, that's how you were when I met me. I'm sharp pencil head now. Say, tack on tack. And sharp pin and pin drop and sharp knives and sharpen me up. Say, focus now. Say, focus. And I do. Wear my slipper now and ever and ever and ever. What you got in my bag? My crown, a corona. I explain me now. I had a brother now. Say, but he won't live me anymore. Say, a bro of Vinny, you won't live with me anymore. I have a brother, but now he's dead. I had a twin now, but it's gone now. He's gone and 10 and again. I don't want to know now. I have a brother, a bro, but now no. I had a twin, but now no. I had a love, a secret love, and now no. Not that. I don't do it now. I'm different. I write that I'm happy now. I write that I change now. I have a slip and a slipper, 2 slippers, both red. I call a boy now, but that's not what they say. A boy now, but that's not what. I'm girly now, say girly, say Cindy, Cindy, send me. She calls me, I do what is right to me, what it fits me. I'm a shower and shower. Katie puts a blouse on now. I say, take it away, an iron hanger, danger. I know how she likes it now. Take care, I see what I know now. I know now, what goes, it goes now. Say, get a run, rubber plum, plunger to unblock, say, salt and pepper. Say, her to me, what I should tell her, that I want to make it absolutely clear. That I want to make it absolutely clear. That I'm not confused me now. I tell her what I should have told her, what I should have told her then. I say her what I should have told her. I say what I say now. I say what I want to say now. Say what, he cooks me up, but I'm cooking now. I cook good now. I know how to cook. I know how to eat me. I learn me how. I learn a body in a gullet and around. Guts gotta say, how is it now? How is it now? I learn real now. Say, what a dream in a dream. I was a dream in a dream. I bought tight shoes, but now I fit me. Go good, I bought a tight clothes, but now it fits me. I fit. I know a school for cooks now, and Emily, I know how to cut a cut and be a girly. Say, Cindy, slipsy, oh, slipper now, slips and slides me in now. I put my apron on, say I cook me good now. I teach me where it all is. Where it all is, where is it all? Oh, I know where it all is. I know how to eat, and slips and slipper fits and shoes collect me now. I drive me round. I learn how my slipper maker slips made from gelatine now jelly. Oh jelly shakes old jelly. But no, I can't me. I see Susie comes in her house and takes a table out, but I don't care. She's as a daughter to me, but I don't buy her now. I have my slipper shoe now. I have my slip to wear. I have my skin to put on now. I calm me. I'm right shoes. I said, what now, Cindy, I fit me.
If a man's home is his castle, his shed is his kingdom. It's a place men can hang out with a few mates, build a few things, even if you haven't before, and give back to the community. No man should be without a shed. The Australian Men's Shed Association is working to provide a shed for all Australian men, and they have over 400 already. Visit your local shed, build your community, and make a difference. Find a shed near you. It's time to give back.
It's shave time.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
Here we are today in Geelong. That's right, for a cultural event to hit Paco Street. It's the Paco Street Fest. There's a lot going on down in Geelong. Have you discovered it yet?
Just casual today, you know.
Casual, yeah.
Saturday morning, you know, get up and...
Just the usual Geelong attire, really.
That's right, darling.
And where are you from?
Darling, we're from Rio, Brazil.
Rio.
Yes, and we've come all the way to Geelong West.
Geelong
for a
West.
Beautiful festival.
Now, tell me about
Tutti and I'm Fruity.
Tutti Frutti, not Fruity Tooty?
No, Tutti and Fruity.
Fruity.
That's a good idea. Maybe it should be Fruity and Tutti.
Oh, yeah, whose name comes first?
Darling, you're a little troublemaker, aren't
I
you?
am a little troublemaker. I'm shaking up your maracas. And I say you've got a lovely pair of maracas.
Darling, after about midnight, it becomes a weapon.
I wasn't talking about those maracas.
I know, darling. We've heard it all before. We've heard it all before.
Yes.
Darling, there's nothing new.
So what's on the diet then for traditional Brazilian food?
Barbecue sausages and
We do have a lot of fruit though, don't we, darling?
Oh no, we eat tons of fruit.
Tons of
We
fruit.
love the fruit.
Well, you can't find anywhere. Can't find anywhere that's fruit.
This is plastic fruit, darling.
Really?
If it were real, darling, it would
It's a bit like the face surgery, really, isn't it? Full of plastic.
All natural, darling.
Beauty,
Natural, of course. The Brazilians do it better, yes?
Darling, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
In Channel 31.
That's nice. What's Channel 31, darling?
The official what?
The official town cry for the City of Greater Geelong.
The official? Where'd you get the title from?
Well, I've been appointed by the council to represent them as through the streets of Geelong and also locally and internationally in competition.
So you got your bell, you got your scrolls, so you're going he ye, isn't it?
Most definitely. We generally use actually oh yay because
yay.
The sound carries better, and it's a French word for pay attention.
Okay, well give us a bell or give us an oh yay, because what are you reading today? What are you officialising?
Well, I can just give a little bit of a greeting if you like.
You do a bit of a greeting?
They're here every year.
We'll see a bit of a greeting. It's got his hands full. It's a pretty colourful day down here, isn't it?
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! My lords, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to the 2002 Geelong Zone Paco Festa!
Okay, fabulous. And I think I heard that, and I think they down there at the end of the
Very
street
good.
heard
Well, that's
you.
the idea behind it.
You've been practising, haven't you?
Oh, I've been doing it for a while, yeah.
So how long have you been doing the Paco Fest for?
Oh, this would have to be, I think, the 9th year I've been doing.
Year.
I'm almost up to 10 years
Wow.
of crying, so.
So really a day worth it in Geelong, isn't it?
It is one of the best days of the year. It brings all the culture together, it brings the community together. And I'm fortunate enough to be in most of the parades that are conducted within the city.
Yep.
But the thing about Paco Festa, the crowd is nice and close, and the theme is harmony this year, and it definitely brings harmony.
And Geelong people are quite intimate with each other, aren't they, in general?
Extremely.
So it's a real family town, a really get-together
One
place.
of the things I'm mainly proclaiming on Town Crying is the great thing about Geelong is its welcoming spirit.
I'm here with a Pole. The Polish. What's your name?
Violetta.
Violetta. That's a very bit of a Polish name, isn't it?
It is actually, yes.
Now, have you enjoyed the street party today?
Oh, it's great. Very hectic.
Hectic?
Yes, very busy.
So what's your involvement in the parade today?
Well, we were on the float, and now we're just heading down to do some dancing.
Dancing. So how long have you been in Geelong?
About 20 years.
20 years? So you migrated from Poland and settled down in Geelong?
Yeah, that's
What do you find? Why Geelong?
Well, my great aunt actually lived in Autumn Street, so we've been basically in the area since then. So, yeah, stay with family.
How's the culture here for all the Polish that are in Geelong?
It's good, yeah. We've got our own Polish house in Breakwater, so there's always dances and things
And do you
there.
find like the cultures all stick together? Do you have a whole Polish group?
We do, yeah, definitely.
Do you mix with others as well, or is it just...
Yeah, a lot of the time we're like Paco Festa, those sort of events, and we regularly get invited to other festivals in Ballarat, or actually we do have a Polish festival in Australia where all the Polish groups get together.
I said, oh,
by the Serbian clan, all dressed up in the traditional outfit.
Yep.
What are some of the traditions of Serbia?
Well, our uniform. What else do we do? Our Christmas is...
Not at Christmas time.
Well, yeah, our Christmas is on January the 6th, so it's the 7th. We forgot.
You're not really Serbian, are you? You don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I am. No, we've got other celebrations like just particular name days that families celebrate, and our shoes, our uniform.
So, how have you found the culture down in Geelong, being Serbian?
Oh, well, we've been able to express our culture because...
There's a very big community here.
Well, you all stick together and...
Well, there's actually 2 Serb groups now. There's one on Plantation Road in Corio, and there's another one on Ballarat Road in Bell Post Hills. So
you have like little meetings and you go to churches and all that sort of stuff?
There's 2 youth groups. There used to be just one, but the group split.
So since obviously the breakup of the country, has that split divided between the cultures as well, from like Croatians to Serbs and all that? Or?
It has, because now there's different communities, and there's a Serbian, and
it used to be mixed?
Diverse. Oh, not as much, because our uniform and our culture is different, as they are Catholic and we are Orthodox. So it is a bit different in that.
And are you eating a bit of traditional food here as well?
Yeah, cevape.
What's this? What's that? Ciabatta?
Cevape. It's in a bread roll.
What is it?
Salad. Okay, it's just meat.
Yeah.
Plain meat with mince, and it's just bread with raw onions and
raw
coleslaw.
Onions?
No, yeah, they're young. How's it go?
Cevape.
You're obviously from the culture?
Yes, I am.
So what brings you down here today?
Just to see how it's all going.
Yeah, and how are you enjoying it?
Lovely.
This is your husband here?
Yes, it is.
Are you from Yugoslavia, or I can't say that, or Serbia?
Yes, I am.
Yes. And what about you? Good view up there? Yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
So how have you found the day today?
It's good.
Yeah, very nice. Good organisation, very nice.
So it's very cultural down here indeed, isn't it?
Yep.
Have you picked up any of the other cultures?
Yes, definitely.
What are the other cultures you've taken note of?
It's just everybody, like all Republic of Yugoslavia and all around, like Malaysia and all that stuff. It's really nice for people to get together.
So you're finding Geelong good down here, or?
Well, I've been living here for 7 years, so it's really good, yeah.
Good place to bring up the family then?
I think so, yes.
Down here in Packer Street, and we've got, well, Spanish. I could only say.
Yep.
So can you tell us a bit about the outfit you're wearing?
Okay, they're flamenco outfits, and the shawl. Well, the one that I'm wearing is actually like a $2,000 shawl.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's hand embroidered.
So how long have you been down in Geelong then? How long has the Spanish culture been in Geelong?
Oh, probably 20, 30 years.
20, 30 years?
Yeah.
Do you speak Spanish?
Yes, I do.
Speak some Spanish for me.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Oh, thank you. Hello, I guess. Welcome back. I kind of understand what you're saying there. How are you? I'm good. So you've been doing the traditional dance as well?
Yes. We've got a dance group here based in Geelong called the Andalusian Spanish Dance Group, and I'm actually a teacher of the younger kids.
So what is the Spanish life like in Geelong?
Well, the elderly probably think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The young ones, I guess, unless it's part of the dance group, we don't really get together.
So it's a strong culture, though, still living down here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your day.
Thank you very much.
And where's your maracas?
Oh, I took them off.
You took them off, never mind.
Castanets.
Castanets, that's what you're call them. Well, here's the chef. You're making Spanish paella.
Yeah, that's right.
Very traditional here for the Spanish culture, isn't it?
It is the traditional dish of Spain as well.
So what, you're starting off what with your peas and your capsicums, adding your
onions,
fish, yeah. Then you add your rice.
You put your seafood mix as well.
Yep.
Calamari, then the rice, water with the saffron, salt.
Oh, saffron, so it gives a bit of colour, that traditional yellowy colour.
That's right. And then you let it cook and you put your prawns, and that's about it, you know.
So how long does it take? I mean, we're in the stages here. We've got like the first stage here, the second stage, and the end stage here.
It takes about 20 minutes altogether.
20 minutes. So there's people waiting here that are really hungry. They want paella.
That's right.
This is the traditional food. Delicious. I think this is a great festival to come down to. It's a mixture of culture and food, and the aroma is just wonderful. Oh, look. Now, we missed out on eating the paella because they're cooking it, but you got the last serving there. How is it?
It's absolutely beautiful, to die for.
Really? Is this a food that you would normally eat?
When I can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you've come down to the whole festival and you're experiencing all different cultures and...
Yeah, I'm actually doing some singing tomorrow with my father and Shirley Power. Yeah.
So where do you originate from? What's your
Ballarat.
Ballarat.
I'm from Ballarat. I'm Australian.
But you are Australian.
But yeah, I've got a Chilean foster family in Ballarat that sort of, I speak Spanish as a second language.
Oh, there you go. So no wonder you're liking the paella.
Yeah.
Looking delicious. Well, enjoy it. Enjoy the festival.
I shall, thank
you. And what
you.
are you singing, in English or Spanish?
English, yeah.
Oh, come on. Give us a Spanish number.
Well, no, I'm not now. No, we're doing a few Celtic things. Dad and I are doing some Latin American stuff.
Fantastic.
So it'll be a bit of a mix.
Because it's actually a 2-day festival down here and everybody just gets together for 2 days and it's just a whole cultural bliss, really.
Yep. So we'll be going outside different shops and stopping for 10 or
Yeah.
15 minutes and then, moving on and doing some more.
You know what? I heard this rumour that the people down in Geelong are really wooden. I think the rumour's true.
La cucaracha, la cucaracha. La 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 la. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. We're watching Channel 31. Banana!
What a fun day. There's all sorts of things going on. There's street parties, there's performers, there's parades. It's all here at the Paco Fest, a traditional down here in Geelong every year.
It's a very entertaining dance that they do. But welcome once again to the Dutch community. Oliver is here, Paco Festa once again, and I think this would have to be the 20th time that they've been here.
Goeiedag everybody, here I am in the Dutch stand and what are you cooking?
Oliebollen.
Oliebollen?
Oliebollen.
What's that come from?
Oliebollen comes from Holland.
Yeah.
It's traditional. It's like a donut. Yeah.
So what's in it?
Just fruit. Two different sorts of raisins. And it's beautiful.
So where did the name come from?
That I don't know. Do you know, Tony?
It's a traditional ESE recipe.
A New Year's Eve recipe, and my eyes are watering. Bit smoky here. Now we've got the girls over here. Hello, girls. What are you cooking?
Hello. We are cooking apple flappen.
Apple flappen?
Yes, which are apple fritters.
Apple fritters, because I had a bit of an apple frut before. This is very traditional food?
That's traditional food from Holland.
So how's the festival been for you?
It will end up really well. We're doing really well with this festival because we get a lot of people here.
Yeah. And how long have the Dutch been down in Geelong?
The Dutch have been in Geelong for over 50 years or more.
50 years or more. And there's a big community down here?
It's a very big community.
There you go. Dutch everywhere, every culture everywhere. Lots of hot oil here. Now you're cooking what? Croquettes?
Beef croquettes.
Beef croquettes.
Yeah.
Now this is very traditional Dutch, isn't it?
It is very, yeah.
Is this like the takeaway sort of food, or?
Well, no, we do have them. We make them at home as well as a meal.
Yeah.
And it's very hard. It's very hard to make. It's a lot of work.
So why are you making them?
Well, someone else. We ordered those.
Yeah.
We didn't make them ourselves this time.
So you just cook meat, fry it, and crumb it, and fry it, basically?
No. You start making a roux.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what that is.
I know what a roux is.
And then make that very tasty, and then leave it in the fridge for a day.
Oh,
and
wow.
And then the next day, you'll roll them.
Yep.
And then after you've rolled them, you cook them.
So there is a bit of preparation.
And then in the breadcrumbs twice.
Twice?
And, twice.
That's the key.
Breadcrumbs, egg, and breadcrumbs, so that you'll get a nice coating on it.
Yep.
And that's how they turn out.
Beautiful. Have a look at that now. Beautiful croquettes.
And they taste beautiful.
They taste beautiful. Okay, we're going to try one. Is this hot? This one's Oh, now, as you can see, hollow inside.
Yeah, well, that one just emptied out a little bit because the oil was too hot.
Oh, okay. So you've got to watch the temperature as
if
well.
If you want one of those, it's a real hot one.
Oh, hang on. Hold this. This is a real one.
Very hot, see?
Very hot.
Very hot.
Whoa, look at that. But very delicious.
Way to go, girls. Gorgeous.
I've got the whole family here. It's a big family day out, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So what brings you down to Paco Fest?
Oh, it's the place to be in Geelong.
Yeah?
Yeah, at the moment, yes.
It's the big event, isn't it, of events,
Oh,
really?
yeah, you've got to go to the Paco Festa.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
There's a few things going down the waterfront today as well, isn't there? The boat races.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
We might check those out later. And how have you been?
Good.
And what have you been seeing so far?
Clowns and stuff.
Clowns and stuff. You've been eating anything? Any cultural food?
Yeah, Italian and
What's your favourite food?
Australian.
Australian. Mum's home cooking. What do you cook for them?
Well, I don't know.
Do you do different culture foods, or you just stick to?
We do the basic steak with mashed spuds, peas, carrots. No.
Very traditional. Nothing cultural about this Aussie hawker family.
We do venture out sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, enjoy the day, guys. And you're drinking sangria there. That's sangria. You're too young to drink. It's sangria. Carmen Miranda, now you are the face of this parade.
I am the face of this parade, yes.
And why?
Because Carmen is a multicultural. She is the one.
She is the one. So how did you get involved in this?
They fly me in specially every year straight from Brazil, and I come to the Paco Festa and have a fun time with my little friend Paco Bear.
Paco Bear. Ah. So it's all a bit of fun, and you do this every year?
Every year we do this, and we have lots of fun, and everybody comes and enjoys.
So you're doing a bit of dancing later?
A little bit of dancing down the street, having a little bit of a drink, a little bit of a party with everybody, so all come and have a fun time.
Girls doing?
Eating.
Eating.
Yeah.
It's all about food, is it?
Mm-hmm.
And what cultures are you from?
Well, our parents, my dad is from Australia and my mum's Balinese. So we're
you're
halfies.
mixed.
Yeah, we're
You're halfies. Is that what you're classified as, a halfie?
Yeah, she's a halfie.
So is that a good half to have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
How do you find Geelong people towards that?
They love it. Yeah.
Not racist or anything like that down
no,
here?
No, not at all.
No. So have you been to your hometown?
Yeah.
What did you think?
We've been about 9 times, so we love it.
Yeah, you just want a beach and suntan, right?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Nothing about culture, it's all about suntanning.
We catch up with the rallos over there.
Yeah. Do you speak the language?
We pick it up pretty easy when we get over there, but not fluently, like
Only
semi.
the Balinese, not Indonesian.
Okay, so pidgin English, really. Now, all the women have been here cooking hard at it for a big feast after this. Now, tell me about the traditional food here that you've made.
Traditional food, Indonesian food, we have rice.
Yes.
And vegetable and chicken with soya sauce. And
What are these little
This
things?
is corn fritters.
Oh, yum.
Corn is cooked with flour and in oil.
In oil.
And
So
then we have a
what is
little fish, little fish,
Little fish.
anchovies, little anchovies,
Yeah.
and peanuts.
in peanuts.
Here, Mrs. Budiarjo, Budidoyo.
Budido?
She's the consul general wife. She's
Okay.
the one who prepared for all the food.
Delicious. So we're all digging in, are we? Having a good festival.
Yeah, we do. Yes.
Thank you so
We
much.
come here every year.
Every year.
Yeah.
It's the best year to be here down in Geelong. Enjoy the day.
Okay.
Thank you. The whole thing about the festival is the Geelong spirit of the community getting together and enjoying themselves. Girls getting together, having a bit of a dance. It's a family day out, but a fun day for everybody of every culture. Lithuania. Tell me about the costume.
Well, the costume's usually made out of wool. We wear the vest, a blouse which is hand embroidered.
So this is a traditional piece, what you're doing? Yeah.
Yes, traditional piece. And then we have just our little aprons to aid us in our dancing.
Oh, so it's not for cooking and cleaning?
No, definitely not.
Is that not the role of the Lithuanian woman?
Oh, sometimes, but most time we're too happy out dancing.
Oh, okay. Now, how far does the outfit go back? How far does the tradition?
Oh, it goes back hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years.
That's right.
So you're down here in Geelong now? You sort of settled down here?
Yes, been in Geelong all my life.
All your life?
Yes, and we've been dancing for many years now.
Okay, so...
We come down to Paco Fest every year.
Every year. So it's a cultural event, really, isn't it?
It is, and it's lovely to see so many cultures around.
This year's float features the traditional gondola of Venice. Today, rather than navigate the narrow Venetian canals, our gondola is navigating the Paco Festa and also Capitalia Young Cultural Folk Group. These young children dressed in their elegant and colourful costumes have revived the art of traditional dance and singing from the local centre in Millat. It's renowned in our community for fine food, the festive ballroom.
There's a lot of Russians around. I'm rushing around this street festival now. How do we do it? Which way? Give me an easy step. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we can do that. Okay, well, let's go. Oh, I can get used to this. How long have you been doing this for?
About 2 years.
2 years? I tell you what, it works out your calves really well. How's your legs going? You've given up. Packing up. Yeah, that one. Oh, I could do that. Yay! And isn't that the nut bush?
No, it isn't.
No? I thought it was the nut bush. I'm at the wrong party. What am I doing here? You're having fun up there, aren't you, really?
Having a great time.
Yeah, this is your first festa, or...?
No, this is my second one. I've been here before.
And so worth coming back to there.
Oh, it is definitely worth coming back to. It's a great day.
It is a good day, and well done. And I'm getting a sore neck, so I'm going to finish this interview, I think.
Well,
shake it up. Give us the best. Enjoy.
Yeah, a bit of a maraca, it's always good.
While you're down in Geelong and doing these festivals, you need some essential footwear. That's right. Get yourself a nice set of Geelong moccasins. Make your feet nice and comfy. Enjoy the superb footwear here.
I didn't think this could happen in Toowoomba. And then I saw it on TV that night. It really opened my eyes.
Whenever the community comes to us and says we need your help, we do whatever we can to assist.
It is a great feeling to be able to help your neighbours, to be able to help your community.
Each Lions member and each Lions club in different parts of the country, we're totally different. But we have core values that are the same. They remain the same for any Lions member and any Lions club anywhere in not just Australia but around the world.
Anything that you can think of that you want to do and support and help, Lions are doing it right now somewhere in this world.
I think Lions need to tell their story. They need to let people know the amazing things that they do.
The three major streams that we have in Lions are the community service that we do for the public, health and medical research, and the disaster relief.
We're out there to help people. If you love helping people, get out and help. Join a Lions Club.
We started this project about 20 years ago. All this gear would normally go to the tip. We recycle it and give it to someone less fortunate and where it is needed in the world.
Being a Lion here in Australia means that I can make a difference to my community. But most importantly, it's inspiring other people to get out and be part of their community and make it a safer and a much happier and better place to live.
Childhood cancer, I've always been interested in cancer and small children from the time I first got cancer 30 years ago. Research is an indefinite item. You can't see it, but it helps so much.
I'm here managing the money and the relationships, but other people are out there raising funds and bringing in community support. Without all of us working together, we can't affect change.
2 more extra hands at any function, any working bee, anything we do, 2 more hands can help us raise more funds, can help us serve our community better.
I went to my Lions Club and I said, I got this idea and I think it's a little bit crazy, but I think we could raise some serious money doing it. And it was to run 100 kilometres. And the club said, okay, if you want to do this, whatever you need us to do, we'll be there 100%. And I'm pretty proud to say that together we raised just over $16,000. So we blew the target out of the water, and I think that was due to a lot of the support that I got.
Through my leadership training and all that, I've learned about thinking global and acting local, and Lions Club is definitely that kind of thing. They act within their communities, but the money that they raise can often end up in any corner of the world.
As an individual, I could only do so much, and whilst it was my burning desire to try and help these people, having an organisation such as the Lions family to call upon to support me and those people that were working with me just made it possible for us to achieve so much more.
You know, after the devastation, to come back into the community, you know, you were shattered by what you saw. You know, no police station, no post office, no petrol station, you know, no kindergarten. There was nothing here.
And all that water with an unstoppable.
I don't know that I've ever seen as much as arrived. There were fridges, washing machines, dryers. There were toasters, jugs, just everything.
To be invited to be a part of Lions just opened up a whole new world to me. A world that provided a structured organisation that could see that the hours that I volunteered could achieve so much more.
I think Lions is a wonderful organisation. The people in it have charity in their hearts.
I can go anywhere in this country, see somebody with a Lions badge, walk up to them and say good day. You got a friend.
Never once in my life had I had a group of people where I could go to, say anything, and know that no matter what, they would be there, they would stand by me.
It's the family. That's what we call it. It's the Lions family. Without Lions, I think I'd be lost now because they've been my life.
We work hard, but the most important thing is we have fun.
The fellowship of all the members of the club, the broader community, it's just a tremendous organisation to belong to. You know, I'll be here till I die.
It is extremely rewarding and gratifying to be a part of an organisation that can spread its support so far and wide.
More members means more hands, means more support to the community.
I would encourage everyone just to give it a go and see if it is for them, because the return that you get for giving to others is amazing.
Get out there, do something wonderful, be part of this fantastic organisation.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
They say there's a chance I could die in a car crash. Maybe even from heart disease. Maybe even skin cancer.
I could die in a work-related accident, or I could die in a fight.
The fact is, the biggest cause of death for men in my age group is suicide.
Please don't let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
MELfeed.video is about to close operations for tonight, but we'll be back with you next Monday evening. In the meantime, here is a selection of programs that will be seen on our next scheduled web stream. You're welcome to visit our website at MELfeed.video for further details of this project. Until next time, from all of us here at MELfeed.video, we wish you a very good night.